Welcome back, everyone. We are now at the beginning of our season 5. This is our first episode of season 5 for Soup City Sins. The title of this episode is But No One Thinks of Changing Himself. Now, we've talked nearly ad nauseum as to what makes Chicago Chicago, various aspects and accents and seasonings that get into the very blood and courses through one. Once you are a Chicagoan, no matter where else you live in the world, no matter when else you live in the world, you will always be a Chicagoan. It's something that you can't shake. It's part Midwestern charm, part Midwestern, for lack of a better word, ferocity. The willingness to stand your ground and face all comers, as well as the wiliness to know that sometimes it's best to beat feet, spank planks, exit stage left even, or more so. Chicago's a very cold place on the outside, but it's very warm and loving to those that it takes as part of their own. In fact, it's like a disease. It infests and invests itself into the rest of your life from the moment you become an actual Chicagoan. And much along the same lines as that we pick up with our coterie as we imagine ourselves sweeping over the inland sea that is Lake Michigan and coming to find our coterie in their various resting places where they've died for the day and arising and awakening to the evening. Their troubles thus far, have been myriad and nearly all-encompassing, from forced indentured servitude as hounds of the city's will, to battling mafiosos, to standing face to face with some pharaoh lupine, to dealing with the ghost and specters of sins past, to the very real fact that unbeknownst to them in more times than not, their legend has spread. The coterie has managed to stand down rampaging elders. It has managed to stand before the entire primogen and remain holy themselves. They have overcome terrorist actions. They have discovered duplicity, deceits, and secrets. And through it all, in this very short, intense year, they have remained amongst the undead. So, let's start in reverse alphabetical to give us all a chance to get our little limelight here. So, Lucio, after your conversation and moment with Martin, where would you have chosen to die for the day?
I think at my personal haven, that's where all the blood is currently stored. So if I'm going, number one, if I need to drink anything, it's there. And number two, if I'm going to see Winnetka anytime soon, I can grab one of the bottles to take with me.
Okay. That's apropos. Now, in the short time that Lucio has been a member of the undead community, both personally and at large, several things have become apparent. Namely that, try though he might, he can make out his features, but though just barely in mirrors and cameras and the like. How would he prepare for the evening upon awakening?
Since I can't actually see myself to know how well I look, I just try and wipe off whatever blood might have formed on my body from the stigmata, comb my hair as well as I can, wash off my face and hands, and I will see if I need to drink any blood. Do you mind if I do the rouse checks right now?
Yes, fire away.
And I will also be doing the check to heal this last aggravated wound.
Okay.
That's a lot of failures. Wow.
All right.
So I get very, very hungry.
Yes, that is. Wow.
In that case, I am definitely going to feed on the blood I have available.
Well, lucky for you that you have a surplus, as it will, at least for one singular kindred. You have more than enough that will last you quite some time. Even taking the necessary, are you bringing yourself down to one hunger, or are you trying to maintain more of your stockpile?
How much? Like, if I were to drink from the amount that I got from Janice, how much would be left if I brought it down to one? Anything or nothing?
No, you had a full week, which for one kindred is considerable. So that's four droughts and what you've already drunken. So you'd still have 3 full bottles left if you bring yourself back down to one.
All right, yeah, I'll bring myself back to one.
Okay. And that's, of course, still not counting your enhanced vintage.
That is safe for a special occasion.
All right. So preparing to arise for the evening, the beast comes roaring back, but you have successfully mended your very dead flesh. There aren't any gaping holes in you. There aren't any obvious signs that the body that you inhabit has been otherwise injured. Now, as you're preparing for the evening, is there any communications you'd like to initiate?
I'm assuming that has Martin already told me where Winnetka is, or is he going to set it up and contact me when he wants to meet?
He was going to set it up and contact you when it was available.
Okay. In that case, the only thing I'll do is I'll just text the rest of the coterie ahead of me returning to the Haven, just to let them know where I've been, what I've been trying to do, just so they know where I am.
Okay. So while you compose that text in open play, we're going to slide right on to Hestia. So having stepped into the shoes of Karen the night before, understanding how enlivening and enriching that aspect is, that's one of the many secrets of your particular blood. There's a compunction to be the best of the best of the best of the best. There's a need, a fundamental drive to exceed and only have and only be your best. And awakening Alexander's third eye, where does that place Hestia emotionally and mentally, knowing what's to take place or what she's planning for the upcoming evenings?
It's a little bittersweet. It's a sense of coming full circle, having had a sire to teach her, but not for long, and now in turn teaching somebody else. It's a place she never saw herself in, I guess you would say. She the student has become the teacher, and it's weird for her. I mean, it makes sense, and obviously she's a very learned person, very smart, so it's not the actual act of teaching that she finds strange. It's the fact that she's in this position. So there is that, very much that sense of needing to be perfect, that needing to be, I need to not mess this up. I need to make sure that he's learning properly. And here I am still learning myself, because she's thinking of Sylvia coming, and Sylvia's going to be teaching her. So it's like this weird chain of events that she's thinking of.
Okay. And would she have remained in the shelter, in the Coterie Haven, to die for the day?
Yeah, I think we discussed the fact that teaching Alexander for the last part of the night, going through the ritual, and um, afterwards giving him some books and things to look through would take up the rest of her night. She wouldn't have time to go do anything else, despite really wanting to. So she went back to her personal space for the evening to go to sleep.
Okay. All right. So, with thoughts of what's to come and a connection to the past running rampant through her mind and keeping her focus on the here and now as well as what's to come, you go ahead and roll her rouse roll for the evening.
I did. She failed. She's at 2.
Okay. She's definitely been in worse situations with her particular beast, especially recently with all the troubles and stressors that have happened. One of the things that, without beating the horse overly much, is that with the recent stressors, i.e. her willpower state of being when it came to her willpower, things are beginning to look up. Things are beginning to look better because there have been 2 nights since her extreme willpower loss, and her slowly building up without having gone into any aggravated willpower damage means that her willpower is slowly increasing. There's light at the end of the tunnel that does not seem to be a train for once. So even though her beast has reared its head, it is not as all-encompassing and destructive as a force in her life as it has been. How would she prepare for the evening?
First thoughts upon waking is she would want to check the news to see if there are any further stories about the fire, whether they've started identifying bodies. She needs to know what's going on with that. And if she can, based on what she learns from the news, she wants to maybe go look for Damien.
Okay. So as she's flicking through channels and collecting herself, drawing one line from the next with the news is actually being shared versus what message actually may be there. Because Kindred, despite themselves and despite the masquerade, unfortunately some things do reach the public's notice. The mortals are oftentimes caught up in business affairs of the Masters of the Night, the damned, the Kindred. Their actions do cause ripples. And so having existed in this city as long as she has, those ripples show in all of their bright, gory, neon glory for her. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your intelligence and insight as she flips channels from one station to the next, catching the early evening news with her phone vibrating there on her nightstand. Oh yeah, someone's working very, very hard. All the information that was involved can't clearly, with the police and fire being involved, with emergency medical services, with the whole neighborhood with their phones and various other socially acceptable tracking devices being present. A lot of it did hit the news, namely of the 6 bodies pulled from the fire. None of them survived. None of them made it. It's an open investigation as the fire department suspects arson or some other nefarious actions. meaning it hasn't been ruled an accident as of yet. Standard procedure for such a hot, quick blaze such as that. There are multiple instances of it being notified publicly that there was a fire, but you notice that there are various details missing, namely the address, the exact address, namely any identification for the bodies. There's normally situations where there are Jane and John Doe deceased cadavers found in public and outcry to the public for any helps, tips, or information to identify. None of those things are happening, which lets you know that there is a cover-up in process to make this disappear as quickly as possible and not take up more of the news cycle.
Okay, so with that being the case, would it still seem smart to go looking for Damien, or just attempt to recall him, or call one of the other hounds and see if they've heard anything?
Well, there are not many more hounds that have been on duty as long as you all, Alexa, and Shane, but Shane resides near Chinatown, which is a no-fly zone. Alexa is somewhere on the Gold Coast, and she's, for all intents and purposes, the actual scourge. She wantonly hunts down caitiff and thin blood and all sorts of people who are clearly marked for death. So while investigation may be part of her duties, the biggest part of her duties is to make sure that nothing's breathing. The most logical course, being as you are some of the most experienced hounds in terms of tenure, would be to take the matter on directly.
Alright, well, how long do I have before Sylvia's supposed to show up?
You all didn't agree on time, but typically most kindred meetings don't happen before 10. Just so that no one's embarrassed about being slightly more bestial or slightly more humanistic or whatever else might be a down turn in events, namely showing up someplace and not having had time to hunt.
Okay, so then, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. My first step is to go hunting, not at my usual place, but one of the more regular places that I've gone before. So I'm going to go there, hunt, and then I'm going to go looking for Damien.
Okay. And of course, your phone has been vibrating and lighting up in the background. And as you prepare for your sojourn down to the Lincoln Park area, we're going to move up the stairs in the Haven as Dizzy has settled on her bed and began to settle into her place here in the Coteries Haven. Thoughts circulating in and around Viv with Theist and the like. Were there any other issues or any other things that Dizzy was attempting to accomplish before she died for the day?
Nope, we pretty much covered everything there.
Okay. So, rising for the evening, how is she preparing for her evening?
She'll get up, take a shower, get primed, makeup, all that stuff.
And does that place her at 2 or 3 hunger?
That will put her at 2.
Okay. So the beast is letting itself be known, but perfectly honest, this is typically where she hovers in and around. She hasn't been very privy to the drives and urges of the beast as of late. It's almost as if without her crew, she's forcing herself to be considerably more at peace with the very monstrous aspects of herself. without the need to hunt for the entirety of the crew. It's almost as if there's been an accord drawn between both facets of her being, the beast and the human. So as she exits the shower, dressing in, applying her makeup, is there a plan afoot as far as she's concerned?
She'll go around the communal haven and see if she runs into anybody. If not, she'll leave a post-it note somewhere communal for the kindred anyway, that with her new phone number on it, because she's had a phone for more than a day now.
Yes.
It's a new record for the Chronicle anyway. And if no one's around, then she's probably gonna go talk to her new friend, I guess.
Okay, so you're gonna drop your number in the meeting area or the library or the morgue of the haven.
Probably the library. I don't think anybody has access to that but the kindred, right?
Right, no one has access to the morgue, the inner workings of the haven, except for the coterie itself. So all of those areas you guys have been in multiple times with each other, specifically Dizzy, as one of the newer members of the coterie. So those are the areas that are typically frequented: the meeting area, the morgue area, and the library area.
Yeah, probably the library. At least Bencha knows that Hestia will probably see it pretty quickly, but.
Okay. All right, sounds like a plan. Well, with that bit of intel being done, and the beast lightly clawing at the insides, more like a cat who's absent-mindedly scratching their scratchy post, not really with any intent, just letting you know that it's there. The quiet of the place comes roaring to life as Dizzy makes her way down and out. And does she exit through the office space or through the tunnel that her, Clyde, and Aiden visited to enter in several days ago?
Probably through the tunnel.
Okay. That would place Dizzy just to the rear of the van, which has housed the surveillance team that has been watching the area and listening. They're searching for someone in particular. That much is clear, but it's clear that they may be, on a wild goose chase as far as things go.
Well, maybe I'll find out more about that as my blood takes hold.
All right. So, as you make your way towards the van, we're going to switch over to Alexander, who's stretching and alighting from his very difficult awakening, because in the process of reaching out to the void, there's a quote, an aphorism that's often touted: don't stare too long into the void lest it stare back. And when opening your metaphysical third eye to reach across the bounds of all logical space and make things happen through the might and power of your blood, even the crash course and initial steps causes all sorts of philosophical questions to come into play. Namely, being dead is one thing, needing blood to survive another, and yet and still there's still more power in the very vitae that courses through your system, which is another step of revelations that is not quite that easy to square away. So how, dear Alexander, would you begin your evening?
Sorry, every time I tried to hit the unmute button, my phone decided it was time to rotate.
No, I completely understand. So how would you choose to begin your evening?
Probably start by studying a little bit more, just to see if there's something in some of these basic texts to get over this weird feeling I'm having, like anything for a supernatural headache or anything like that. But I won't waste too much time on that. But for now, that's what I'm probably going to do.
Okay, so you're going to pour over and re-cram some of the information that was there, searching for a cure for the existential confusion that opening yourself up to even more to the world of the supernatural is causing. It doesn't quite alight or quite balance out with the spiritual mysticism of the Americanized Buddhism that you had learned. It doesn't quite jibe. It encompasses and encapsulates all of that, but it's that much more. That was literally the tip of a snowflake of the iceberg that you now find yourself facing. Not only is it just this world, there are a myriad of worlds and depths to those worlds that is opening itself to you. So, two things. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your rouse and for the evening, then roll your wits and occult for me. And does that place you at 2 or 3 hunger for now? Okay, so you're off to a great start as far as such things have turned. You find a passage which mentions Enosh, the original city, the city founded by the strength of Cain, the city which is the cornerstone and pillar of all kindred society. Its utopian ideas torn down by the rebellious third generation who not only were living embodiments of Cain's law against procreating and against embracing others, but wanted to be gods themselves. As Cain struck out from the Garden of Eden, finding Lilith and being taught the ways of night, of man, beast, and all manner of spirits in between, they so too wanted to overthrow God and become unto gods themselves.
By the way, I was muted when I said this, I just realized, but I believe I'm at 2 hunger.
You did do your rouse, correct? But you didn't add hunger to your second row. No, it's there. Yeah, I see it. Oh, you're short one hunger. Yep, there we go. Because you failed your rouse, which means you should have been at least hunger 2. Would you like to remake that roll?
My rouse roll?
Yeah. Not your rouse roll, but your Much in a cultural.
Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry. I totally messed it up again.
Okay. There we go. In the course of following the tale of Cain and the city of Enosh, and how the third generation of kindred, the grandchildren of Cain, overthrew their creators and slaughtered them everywhere they could, taking the wrath of not only their progenitors but of Cain himself, you find that there is a cone and a riddle of esoteric foundations that offers a piece of preparedness. It is a very long prayer and cone and riddle, but it is there all the same. So you will be spending a very good portion of your evening wrapped in books and tales of times long gone by. So we're going to circle back around and to Lucio. After sending your text, where are you heading? Are you heading back to the Haven, or are you attempting to launch a separate investigation?
I think I'll try to investigate a little bit about the masquerade breach on my own while I wait for Martin's message. Just see what I can do on my own. See if I can track down where the sources of some of these videos were from and see if I can get rid of them.
Okay, so you're going to try to backtrack based on a remembrance of the camera angles and find where they could have come from. That being the case, go ahead and roll your intelligence investigation. Your target number is going to be 5. Because you're working from memory, not from actually being able to play the video and match it up to the scenery at one or two of those scenes as you make your way back north.
Yes. Not sure I have. Actually, I think I do have willpower. I'm gonna go ahead and use 1 willpower on this.
Okay.
My precious few willpower that I have because I spent so much fighting Laura. You disappoint me again, willpower.
But close still definitely count, and as always, better is better. So the easiest and most and clearest scene of the crime, as it were, was the dead-end alley that you all pursued Laura towards the ending of that evening. When you get there, the dock is actually hustling and bustling. There are several trucks, there are people standing around smoking, there are a few security guards who are nursing bruises but yet can't afford to be home, one with a broken arm, one with a clearly contused head, judging by the almost baseball-sized lump along the side of his jawline and ear. But otherwise, the surprising part about this particular location is there is no angle that you would not be able to see this area from either of the buildings that are facing it, who has their back to this location. It would be the perfect spot if you were attempting to snipe anyone down on that dock. It would be the perfect location. It's almost especially designed as a stage. If those trucks weren't there, if the people weren't bustling along, that area would be stage center. There's a camera on, of course, the skyscraper that you all, that it abutted, that this dock is actually a part of, but also from the bridge, which is showing signs of some city worker having had to try to repair it, which with a patch, instead of actually raising the bridge, taking the pylon down and replacing it. some bureaucrat clearly thought the best idea and best way to fix this clear safety hazard would be to simply patch it. The alleyway that you all proceeded down, there are a multiplicity of cameras which clearly would highlight the sidewalk and the dock area clearly in their lines of sight. Whoever was responsible for this, for those leaks, knew exactly what they were looking for and knew exactly what they were doing. It was several different buildings with several clear lines of sight. This was not something that was done spur of the moment. This location had been scouted and chosen.
Gee, you'd think maybe this was a trap.
Yes, more than just a trap of opportunity. It was almost as if it was not only just scouted because it was the best place, but that there was severe and significant efforts placed, especially being as all of the myriad sources that the information could have been taken from. If you only knew someone who was adept at technology and hacking to find where those feeds were sent to.
Perhaps Whispers, if he's at the Haven, would know. You see, well, actually, wait, there's also... Oh god, I can't remember his name. Spots from Novak. Of course, that runs the risk of drawing a mortal into kindred business.
Yes.
I will, I think I'll try my luck with heading to the Haven and asking assistance from Whispers in this regard first, before I risk drawing more mortal eyes towards us.
Alright, sounds like a plan. So you're heading back to the Haven. You have that bit of information percolating on your very active brainstem at the moment. And then Hestia, as you head out to the Lincoln Park area to make friends and drain blood to refill your own personal vitae, several things become apparent to you. Rising as early as you do, there's only one other kindred in the coterie at heretofore that has risen almost at the same pace as you, and that was Dizzy. You've left her at the Haven alone, but more so than anything is, you know how scary that the Haven might seem to someone who isn't quite adjusted, especially someone who had to sleep in a moored bed.
Well, first thing I want to do is check my phone because you said it's been going off. Like, I know Lucio sent a text message, but like it sounds like there were more than just that as far as text messages go or alerts going.
Some person named G had been reaching out asking about Damien. Have you seen him? Come on, pick up your damn phone.
Have I seen who?
Damien. Come on, pick up your damn phone. They have a concert this weekend. Where the fuck is he? Where is our sheriff? You know what? Fuck you then. You're not going to answer. And there's several more texts behind it asking, where is Damien?
Oh, no. So, is it all the same number?
Yep.
So, I opened the most recent one, and text back, I'll forgive that bout of anger towards me. I'm looking for him right now. And as soon as I find him, trust me, I'll let you know. And then I send it. And then I text Dizzy, getting something to eat, but also looking for Damien. Lucio's on his way back? Or would I know that? Because it sounded like he said he was heading back.
Mm-hmm. Your perception on the text is your perception on the text.
Lucio's on his way back. Might need your help. Do you have enough clothes? Question mark.
Okay, so while you're firing off that text, while you're firing off that text, a text from G comes back through asking, sorry, he said reach out to you and Lucio, but he didn't leave Lucio's number. This is Gabriella.
Do I remember who that is?
Besides clearly another hound or a new hound? No, not specifically. Literally that, just another hound, a newer hound, even newer than Shing.
So once I get that, I'll put an open when I text back, and then I also see that Dizzy text me back. Okay.
Yes, you gotta just text him up a storm. I'm waiting for one of you guys to screw up and actually let something slip. Alright, so while you're texting and getting all of that situated, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your hunting roll, which is going to be for you, manipulation and persuasion.
Okay.
All right, and while that roll is happening and those are to be, most moments are being taken care of, Dizzy, as you get to the vent, all the texts are coming in like rainfalls.
I'll have a half a second of nostalgia then.
Yeah, it
Okay,
is.
you said manipulation and persuasion?
Yes.
Okay.
And very much in that quick fire, rapid exchange of information and almost constant communication, very reminiscent of the crew. You could almost hear Zeke and Alston arguing over the music, Gaz stoically watching the road go by and plotting your path, your next move. And Drea bopping into whatever song is playing, and she all but meditates through motion more times than not. And lastly but not leastly, Noe with his ever-present sheer abandon. He being always wholly in whatever scene he was in. Like wherever he was where he was exactly. And you rarely have to wonder what was going on in his mind. Because just like that, something would pop. Something would come up. Hey, what do you think about cows? Do you think that if you properly bred them with, let's say, a kangaroo, that they, when you pull their teats, would produce a substance close enough to milkshake for it to quantify? And just like that, you're back. You're next to the van. Your phone's going off, and you're, as per your usual, quick-fire responding as well. And then the door swings open. Your heart rises and falls and rises again because the guy who steps past you, pausing to look you up and down, is not Viv. But she follows quickly on after. Look, hey. Hey, Chica, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, you?
Not much. It's weird seeing you here, a couple of nights in a row. You tell me you brought some of that good coffee back.
No, but I was going to go get some hot chocolate. You want one?
That would be great. I'm having a very, very rough night already.
Cool. I'll be back in a minute then.
And as you saunter away, the conversation that was clearly already in motion between those two continues. While you can't hear exactly what's being discussed, the volume inherent allows you to know that neither one of them are happy with whatever is going on.
All right. Well, add that to the agenda then.
And where are you off to?
Well, I guess I'm going to go get some hot chocolate since I said I'd be back with hot chocolate.
Okay, so you're going to be a person of your word.
I'm not even going to spike it this time.
Well, no one would know. No one would know. Who's going to know?
Yeah, but if she likes me too much, she's useless. So I guess off to the McDonald's. They have hot chocolate, right?
They do. I've never actually had any, but I'm sure that, it's relatively tasty.
I mean, it can't be worse than random gas station hot chocolate, right?
You'd hope, but more times than not, that is exactly not the case. I have had McDonald's coffee, and while Mac Cafe is definitely a thing, and people definitely like their hot bean water certain ways, I can tell you as a former coffee addict that McDonald's coffee, while definitely and definitively hot enough, is definitely and definitively not coffee enough.
Well, maybe the gas station then. Which hopefully is not getting robbed down there this time.
There is always that random potentiality, considering that it is Chicago, and that despite what others may believe it, while it may not be as overwhelmingly violent consistently, it is not in fact Gotham City. There is no Batman nor Joker. The simple fact that everyone will do everything they can to ensure that they eat, whether that eating is their DOC or their otherwise money-costing activities, they will do what they can to ensure that they have that opportunity to do so. And based on everyone's behavior when it was being robbed, you should sure that it is a quite frequent enough activity that it doesn't inspire the same adrenaline rush nor fear responses that most would have when being robbed. Luckily for you, it is not quite that often or regular enough where it happens every day. What would the union think if it did?
Well, when in Rome, you know.
So, making your round to the gas station and picking up the coffee, you notice that the cashier barely looks up, but you're sure that they recognize you by the simple fact that he nods, and when you bring up the chocolate instead of coffee, it's like, why are you switching up? Thought you were a coffee girl.
I'm more like a Pokemon. I gotta catch them all, I guess.
Yeah.
I love her.
Hey man, whatever works. Then you do have to pay this time, though.
Well, that's fine. I could rob you. Ha ha. Wink, wink. I'm joking. Don't call the cops.
Yeah, right. Like they do anything anyway. We got a security button here that goes directly to the owner's cell phone. It tells you how effective the cops are.
What's he do? Run down with a shotgun like that movie?
No, I wish. He changes the schedule. That last robbery cost me 6 hours. Not that I really care. I'm getting a job at the pizza shop over on Farwell.
You're not delivering, are you?
Fuck no. Do I look like I
You
got a
probably
car?
get robbed. You probably get robbed less that way.
Hard to say, especially over here. It's nothing like my hometown. Everybody say Chicago is a great big city. Yeah, fuck that shit. If I had the money, I'd go back home now.
Well, there is a charm to that small town living, I guess.
It is. You don't get these problems in Green Bay. Anyway, enjoy your night.
You too. Stay safe, dude.
And just like that, you're off with your goodies in tow, and you're heading back to the van. It is a clear, surefire, without a shadow of a doubt, fact that whatever happened was not to anyone's benefit. You see Viv has a busted lip, and the gentleman she was speaking with doesn't seem to be anywhere around.
Hey, what the fuck? That's new.
I fell.
You fell, or like you air quote fell?
No, I fell. I kicked his ass and then I fell.
Or like not into his fist repeatedly.
No, he punched us like a bitch. He wouldn't have left a mark like this.
What are you guys fighting about?
Hours.
Hours? Like you have too many hours, or overtime, or what's going on?
No, the contract has been renewed, even though we haven't found any of the data we were looking for.
The traffic stuff.
Yeah. So even though we don't have any of the data that we're looking for, our contract has been renewed. Seems as if one of the canvassers went missing a couple of nights ago. I I don't want. I'm sorry. I gotta ask because if I don't ask, then I'm gonna be curious. You say you live in the area. Have you seen a girl that looks like you? She's thinner. She doesn't have a bigger bust. Her name's Michelle.
Look at your face.
There's also at McDonald's the other night. There was a girl that kind of looked like me.
You mean the McDonald's down on Ashland?
Yeah, the one just right down the road there.
You see her getting in anybody's car? You see her talking to somebody?
We got in some red Tesla. I mean, I probably wouldn't, if it wasn't a red Tesla, I probably wouldn't remember it at all, actually, you know.
Don't tell me you got a picture of the license plate.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's more than we expected. I wouldn't have thought anybody would have went missing. I guess she ran away with her boyfriend or something. Anyway, the people that, make the decision to decide that but even though we don't have the information we came here to find, we gotta fucking stick it out here. No, not, nothing towards you, but...
Right. There must be some serious traffic going on here, huh?
I think they think it might be, or that the patterns in this area are indicative of larger traffic patterns. But realistically, just between me and you, the traffic patterns over here kind of suck. No one knows how to fucking drive.
I've noticed that.
We got...
It just seems odd that they stick you here all night to study traffic patterns and there's like no one driving.
We have a pseudo parabolic disc inside that picks up the data from all of the traffic cams in a 3-mile radius, as well as thanks to Mayor Emmanuel, we're able to tap into the neighborhood cams as well. So it's collating all of that data.
You can do all that crazy born identity bullshit with that game.
No, it's not that good yet, but with the cameras being almost everywhere, between the red light cameras, between the speeding cameras by the parks, between the neighborhood watch cameras, we're able to collate information. Like I said, our little jurisdiction here is literally only 3 miles, but 3 square miles of data, and you can extrapolate for almost the entirety of the city, especially this particular neighborhood, considering that most of the main streets in this area, Ridge, Ashland, Sheridan, have a city life of at least 7 to 10 miles of traffic that scoots across them. Then you got to add in Moores and Farwell and Thorndale and all of these other streets that go east and west. And when you put those together, you're able to just about track the flight of a flea if you wanted to.
So, like, what's the end game?
If I knew that, I would definitely be having a promotion.
I mean, why gather all this information and be able to do all that stuff? Are they going to do like some construction or build a bridge or another train? Or
honestly, I was hoping that it'd be something cool like that, but I think they're using it for... And she looks left and she looks right. She makes sure that you guys are actually kind of sort of by yourselves. I think they're doing a social experiment.
A social experiment related to traffic pattern?
If you control how people move across the city, you can influence cultural phenomena. If you impact how people move, you control how people think. You can spur certain reactions or make them more likely to happen or less likely to happen.
This all sounds like some next level deep state Illuminati bullshit to me.
No, what are you talking about? That's not even a real thing. Propaganda, yes, but Chicago's always been based on that. It's one of the reasons why it interested me at first, finding out that the ideas of mental warfare have been used on the American people for generations, specifically here in Chicago. Since its foundation and the grid layout that everyone takes for granted, it's all part of conditioning the citizenry. It's to either increase crime so that you justify the police expenditures, or decrease crimes and justify spending it elsewhere. The projects that were just closed over a decade ago were part of the social experimentation that the city used to guide people. Remember, Chicago was originally just the Loop, and then all of the other villages and cities around it were absorbed, were made part of the whole to control the influx of different people and to justify its expenditures. They've been running social experiments on the populace forever.
I mean, mental warfare, populace, conditioning, you're not really helping your deep state thing there.
No, city planning is very much that, and it's part of the American ideals. You don't get this level of interactions with people the way that we get here anywhere else in the world, because it's just part of our American identity. Every city planner is part propagandist and social experimenter.
Oh shit, are you going to gentrify the neighborhood? I should buy some property.
No, there's no plan to gentrify Rogers Park ever. It's as gentrified as it's going to be, with West Rogers Park being as nice as it is. The idea is to... I shouldn't be telling you this, but the idea is to kind of isolate the area to... even though we don't have blue-collar jobs specifically, but to kind of direct all of the college students who aren't quite making it, all of the people who think they're going to be doing better than they actually are, into the area. Why do you think there's a media blackout on the area?
It does seem awful suspicious.
And she pauses and looks at you with a frown.
I mean, I'm not passing any judgments. I'm just saying that the whole thing, maybe it's just over my head. I am just a dumb blonde.
Mm-hmm.
You're real sneaky. You get people talking, don't you? I bet you've been told that all your life. Because I wasn't supposed to share any of that with you. But you're so nice, and I'm here pretty much by myself now, especially with me kicking Keith's ass. But he's been asking for it.
Well, I mean, I'm not like working for anybody or doing anything. So, I mean, maybe I just have one of those faces that people are comfortable talking to. I don't know. It's not my fault.
Yeah, no, I'm not blaming you or anything. But yeah. Needless to say, without any shadow of a doubt, Diz, you know that it's the effect of the initial steps of Gouldom that are taking hold. It's one step towards bonding that's actually promoting that sense of well-being and friendliness on her part. It's not a full-blown blush of feeling or emotion. She's not trying to look out for your feelings, but she is definitely predisposed towards you. And while that is happening and taking place, Alexander, the ritual that you have come across, the cone that you are meditating on, actually is having an effect. It shouldn't, not this quickly, but your predisposition and the nurture of your lifetime spent in Buddhism means that you are predisposed towards this level of esotericism, this level of meditation and thought, willing your peace to take hold. Feeling better about yourself, what would you do to begin your first steps for the evening?
My first steps for what? Sorry.
Towards the evening, there are still
Okay.
several matters you had yet to work out, namely reaching the Akashics, or specifically the Concilium, to find the Akashics, putting a kibosh on the very real and disastrous upcoming masquerade breach. It's one of the few times you've heard of such things happening on this level, and you being on the in the know side of it before it's happened. You guys are literally part of a very small portion of the populace who are aware as to what will happen when whatever is part of that leak reaches the public.
Yeah, the masquerade breach to be probably focused on first, so I can get the rest of the coterie to, like, hopefully get the rest of the coterie to help me deal with the Akashic. Because as long as they're busy with that, they can't help me with the Akashic.
No, they can't.
So, that being said, not quite sure how best to deal with that. Besides, didn't we have someone? It's been a while since like our last session, but didn't we have someone we kidnapped who had some answers there?
No, but you all were sending Clyde to work his resources and Whisper to back him up on working those resources to find the sources potentially of that information.
Okay.
Back up.
Do I know what the rest of the coterie is busy doing right now?
You do not, and this is the first portion of the evening. You've just arisen, you've managed to meditate and focus on bettering yourself or being at peace with what the changes that are happening within your blood, the world that's awakening to you, but you haven't reached out to any of the other coterie members. And you realize that with your phone being on silent as you keep it, because you're typically sneaking someplace if you're called to action, you realize that it's been lit with messages from Lucia.
Oh boy, I'm gonna go ahead and check those.
If you look at open play, you'll have this message there. And while you read that message and decide how to respond and what to do, you do realize that if that's the case, if Lucio's already out and gone, that means most assuredly that Heshia's out and gone. Which should leave you in the haven with Whispers, Clyde, and or Aiden.
All right, Aiden, that guy who ran away. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and go talk to Aiden now that I remember he exists.
Well, I'm
gonna ask him. I'm gonna ask him how he's settling in and see if he still thinks we're gonna kill him.
Yes, he does. But he realized that he can earn that not death if he's of use.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and tell Aiden, I don't... Believe me if you want, don't if you really don't want to. But personally, killing's not my thing. I've never really done it on purpose, and I've gone to great lengths not to. So, if you're gonna be intimidated by anyone that way, it's not me. That's not to say that you should step all over me, because I have other things I can do, but I'm not gonna kill you, alright?
You say that, and you say it in the same breath about not doing it on purpose. That's really heartwarming. You're almost as bad as Simone, though a lot nicer. But you're almost as bad as Simone. You guys have to work on not being intimidating. You know that, right? You do realize that he's actually wearing clean jeans, and his t-shirt isn't exactly ratty for once.
What do you mean about me being like Simone?
You know, the whole threatening death and life and all that. We know what you guys do. As a whole, we know what we are. We're all dead. You guys got the better end of the stick. I got the worst end of the stick. We're all dead. And trust me, I've seen some really bad things. Like some of the guys, some of the crew that get strung out. It's literally like being in a room with a lion that hasn't eaten. That's not a good thing. So my self-preservation is all about being dead enough to wake up the next day. And don't take this like I'm a little leery of being dead. This half dead where I am now is perfectly okay. I'm good with it. I come to grips with it. I realize that not everybody gets the bright and shiny mind powers, turning into living shadows, controlling spirits. Not all of us can do that, but I'm okay with being where I am. Especially being as you guys managed to keep that crazy ass Alexa from finding where I am just by hanging out with you all.
That turning into living shadows thing, being able to talk to spirits, I can't really do that either. That's a pretty unique set of skills that you kind of have to be born into. So, and it's not like you don't have anything that I don't get anymore. I don't get to eat food. You know, I haven't used the bathroom in years. Like, you know how weird that is?
Oh, it saves on toilet paper.
Imagine that. Yeah, but still, it's like no part of me is me anymore. I don't think you understand that.
No, I understand that. I'm kind of jealous. I would not like to have to use the bathroom a lot of times. Yesterday, when I was trying to make it home, I had to crap so bad. And I had to make it here before, before sunset, so I can be up for you guys and make sure you know that I was still on my job. But still, that's an unneeded 30 minutes of my day that I could get rid of.
Well, if you just didn't eat food anymore, maybe you wouldn't. I mean, do you need food?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried going without it? Just surviving off blood?
I'm dead. I'm not stupid. I don't want to be deader than I already am. I've seen what you guys look like when you think no one's paying attention. I don't want to look like that. I got a nice handsome baby face. I want to keep it as long as I can.
Yeah, I definitely get what you mean there. That's, as far as I'm concerned, the real short end of the stick is the frenzy, that mood that you're talking about. I think it's so scary.
So I laid low.
I wish that was gonna. I definitely, give up not having to use the bathroom anymore to get rid of that.
I laid low and stayed out of it is really, I'm just thankful that you guys, gave me a job, keeping me relatively safe until I can find my girl. But who's this Edward Varos that was back here earlier today?
Varos?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that rings a bell for me.
What
What did he look like?
Tall guy, looked like he shit out money for a living. Nice big bright smile that you could tell was fake. Like, you can tell how rich people are, man. But yeah, he looked like money. He was wearing a chronograph instead of a watch, and he pulled up in that fucking Tesla, showing out. Made everybody sit up and take notice.
Yeah, it's not my usual crowd. I'm not the one to ask about that.
Yeah, he came with the cook lady, Amelia, Bedelia, Amy. What's the cook's name? Whatever her name is. He came with her. He talked to her for like 10, 15 minutes, and then the little office manager, the little kid that running around trying to take care of things, thinking he the big boss without being a big boss. I guess you don't know that Hesher really runs this shit around here. He was all kowtowing and bowing and scraping and kissing ass. I don't kiss ass. Not without pay. No, I'm kidding. And I don't always got to get paid for it.
Yeah, well, life is more valuable than principle, You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Sometimes it's because it's fun. Sometimes it's because you just gotta get out of trouble. But either way, I just thought you might know.
You really can't find your girl or whatever?
No, and I looked.
Haven't been able to find her since I found you in that place?
No, I haven't, and she hasn't been answering any of my phone calls either. Like we got a text service that we send out our messages to, and she hasn't been responding. I did get a weird response. Somebody sent like 17 different question marks. But that's not our code, so I didn't bother to respond. At least not more than twice.
Do you think the people who took you might have also taken her?
I'm hoping not, because that place was a horror, and she, outside of drinking it, doesn't like blood like that, especially her own. I remember one time she was trying to cook for me and ended up slicing off 2 of her fingers. She was so pissed. She had reattached them, but she was so pissed. Like, she was all but shell-shocked and stayed in her room for like 2 days. So if they did what they did to me to her, she'd be so out of it. It'd be super traumatic.
Well, let's hope that wasn't the case. Keep trying to reach out. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
You think I should? Even though that... Okay, but yeah, that's a good idea. I don't want to give up. And me looking in all the other places hasn't come up with anything anyway, so might as well, right? Nothing beats a failure except for more failure.
I mean, you have all the time in the world.
Yeah, but does she?
May as well keep looking until you find her or her body,
Oh, that's real happy. Man, you guys need to work on your pep talks. But I will definitely... I would definitely keep looking, but man. Well, I guess I got the better end of the deal.
Morbidity is relative, I've found.
Yeah, I suppose. Between your good and bright and shiny self and you hear that the disco has been canceled. They're not going to be holding the disco at Red No anymore either. And with that, we switch to Lucio, who is just arriving at the Haven.
Good evening, everyone who's present. Has anyone seen Whispers by any chance?
No, shit, Aiden says. Fuck, I gotta go check on his rats. He asked me to check on his rats. I don't like rats. You want to check on them for me?
I do not.
Fuck. And with that, he walks.
Who else is at the Haven currently?
Alexander.
Okay.
Hey, hello.
Hey, Alex. How have you been lately?
Well, woke up with a kind of, I don't know, a magic headache, you could say. I'm still getting used to all the ghost stories and the, you know, moving shadows. You know, all the stuff that about a year ago wasn't real in my world, and now is a big part of it, to the point where I was working with a guy and it killed him. But you know, other than that, same old, same old. How have you been up to this early in the night?
About the same as you. Trying to wrap my head around all the stuff that's happened, and also trying to figure out how we're gonna deal with the Sabat's plans. I think it's pretty obvious that not only, like, yeah, the trap everyone said, but also, like, all those videos were intentionally taken. I'm pretty sure the Sabat had a hand in the videos as well. Like, not just coincidence that someone happened to see. That it was very intentional that these videos were taken. So, yeah. Great news, right?
What makes you think the Sabat had a hand in it?
Well, the Sabat it was definitely a trap. I mean, looking at the place, I went there tonight again just to see if I could find out where these videos were taken. And basically what I found was the whole place is pretty much a stage. The whole place is like, if you were trying to, like, view something there, like, it's the perfect place to set up a trap and have video taken in full view. So I'm pretty sure they set it up intentionally, like, specifically the videos.
That's the bot.
I mean, there's also the fact that we know they're working with the government, so it seems like a pretty handy thing for them to have, you know, find evidence of vampire activity by creating vampire activity, and then sell it to them for even more control over them. and to set them against our enemies. It's kind of got me thinking lately, and I hate that I'm thinking this, but we're fighting on too many fronts, and I want your opinion on this, what I'm about to suggest. We've made a lot of enemies. We're dealing with the Sabbat, we're dealing with what we now know as the Hekata, and the Shadow Kings as well. So essentially a war on three fronts. We're stretching ourselves way too thin. And I think we might need to turn one of those enemies into, if not an ally, then at least a ally of convenience, shall we say.
Yeah, that might be a good plan, but the Sabbat's an obvious no-go on that. And I don't think we know enough about the Shadow Kings. So it'd probably lead to trying to make a deal with the Hekata.
Which was exactly what I was thinking, actually, because the issue with the Shadow Kings might be able to be dealt with diplomatically. I believe Hestia is handling that. The Sabbat are, like you said, no-go. Even if they weren't the mortal enemies of the Camarilla, I still wouldn't want to deal with them, considering what they did to me. So that leaves the Hekata. And oh my god, I can't believe I'm finally saying this, but I might be able to have some leverage with them because the Don is my biological father, after all.
You what? I'm sorry, for a second there it sounded like you said your father's Hekata.
It's a long story, and one that I only found out, I believe, last week, maybe a little longer ago. It's been a long and arduous time for us. Time has been very difficult for me to track. But yeah, that was a bomb that was dropped on me by none other than Arsenio himself, later confirmed by Ignacio, and again by the footage that we found of Don, where he outright says, both my sons, and officially he's only supposed to have one son, so time to face the facts.
Don't they keep a lot of their embracing in-house? How did you come to be embraced outside of the Hekata then?
Well, first and foremost, I was never officially a part of their family. I'll just come out and say it. I am a bastard. I was born out of wedlock, according to what they've so gently put it. But I was essentially embraced before they could get to me, by none other than Laura Blackenlee's childer. She's the one who killed me, and one of her childer decided to embrace me and hope that I would die by the sun, and nothing would be left of me except a little pile of ash. That didn't happen, so here I am.
Is the Sabbat always so, no offense, messy with their embraces?
I wouldn't know. My only interaction with the Sabbat was back when I was human, and it was at the end of one of their fangs. After that, all of the interactions have been at the end of a gun, or, as we had most recently seen, in a very shadowy conflict.
Yeah. I don't even know what was going on there.
Neither did I.
Even if I stayed outside.
You know, I gotta say, turning into shadows and fighting another person that can turn into shadows, not as easy as it looked. It can be very confusing, considering both our bodies are like, amorphous blobs.
I imagine it would be. Yeah. I don't even know much about. I'm just starting on my journey into that world. But
do you mind if I ask how long?
Go ahead.
Do you mind if I ask, like, how long you've been a kindred for?
It's kind of hard to determine because I spent a good portion of my early time as a kindred without any technology or access to a clock or anything. I barely kept track of the days. I was embraced here, but I didn't wake up here. I woke up across the sea, and I didn't come back for a while. So I'd say maybe half a decade, a decade.
Would you believe me if I told you that I was embraced just this year?
Really?
Yeah, 2020, am I right?
Yikes. On top of everything else.
And while you guys are discussing that, knowing that Vivi has let slip probably more than she has with anyone else, knowing how lonely she is, it's not that hard to see why any draw towards another person would have her with her guard down. You know that there are other factors at play with her, Dizzy, but yeah, this is Spycraft 101, how to turn an asset, which assets to choose, and how to utilize them. What are you doing in this moment? Because it's clear that some similar thought, or at least thought process, crossed her mind. Is the reason why she brought up you being so easy to talk to.
I'll check my phone real quick and make sure I'm not being summoned somewhere, which I'm assuming I have not been. Other than that, I'll just kind of sit on the curb and light up a cigarette and engage her in small talk some more.
Well, there was the insinuation from Hestia about meeting back at the Shelter's Haven.
Yeah, but I asked her to hit me up if she needed me, and I haven't. Unless somebody has done that, then I'm working on this angle here at the moment.
Okay. And much like most things that come easy, Vivi is already lit up and already had one, and is now working on smoke break number 2 without ever having ended smoke break number 1. If I wasn't so, I really kind of want to follow in my brother's footsteps, but that's too much work, and this is becoming too much work. I'm really thinking about quitting, but I know my folks won't like it so much.
Well, why would you quit?
12 hours doing this, do you think you'd be able to do it for too long?
I mean, if you hate it, you hate it. But obviously something drew you to it.
Well, I thought that I might be helping eventually, or helping somewhat. But the truth of the matter is, somebody else is making decisions without sharing why they're making the decisions. And I don't see us really helping anybody. I know that we do, or at least there's proof that we did at one point help people. But now I'm not entirely sure. Like, I'm having my doubts. And working with Keith does not help that. Do you know the reason why our team got pared down to just me and Keith?
No, why's that?
We're both single. Are you serious?
There you go. It could be a love connection.
Love connection, my ass. The only thing that's connecting between us is my fists.
I mean, some guys are into that.
Keith wouldn't know what to do with a woman. He's a fucking incel. He just doesn't have enough money or enough rich parents so that he can stay in someone's basement with the lights off. You know what he said? You know what he said that started today? With our uptick in hours and us having to be here, he said we might as well start bringing our pajamas and then we can swap them out. Like, are you serious?
I mean, you do have this nice van.
We have a fucking job to do, and while the information runs by itself, we still need to be aware. The last group that were here, they were robbed supposedly, and had all sorts of things happen. Supposedly some neighborhood vandals. So we need to be aware. We need to be watching out. How the fuck are we gonna do that if we're sharing pajamas?
Yeah, what's up with that? Who robs a cop van?
You think we're cops? We're not cops.
Yeah, I kind of did. Who are you working for then?
We're a contractor.
I was like crazy Blackwater stuff. Are you like an assassin?
Those things don't exist like that. Most assassinations are the same thing as, murders for hire. The only thing that changes them from a murder to an assassination is depending on how important the person was that gets you done. And you can hire an assassin for $500 these days, especially if it's a small time job.
Well, that's handy info to have, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's not like that, but it is like that. It very much is like that. Like real honestly. If you know where to look, like the Chicago Reader, the For You page, the missed connections, it's mercenary wholesale. That's how bad things have gotten. The economy's shit.
Yeah, you ain't got to tell me.
If you see anybody mention Jovinas in their missed connections ad with 4 hearts, that's a mercenary saying that the job is completed. 5 hearts is the initial ad for the job.
Well, that's good to know, I guess, if I ever need somebody killed.
Hopefully you don't. Because one of the first steps before taking a job is finding out who made the ad and then offering the job to the person that that's how the guys got caught down in Champaign.
This place is seedy. Like in California, we just had like Disneyland and gangs and the beach and stuff. This is
no, it's a little.
And it's fucking cold.
It's not that bad yet. You gotta wait till February. February is when you actually can tell whether you can survive in Chicago or not. But it's not just here. It's better here than in Ohio.
Ugh, I've been through Ohio.
Yeah, the winters there are just as bad, and you got the added benefit you don't have any humidity, so it's cold. It's cold enough there that, like right now, it's probably already snowing. Someone's buried in their house already, I guarantee you. But we're not cops. We're actually, believe it or not, we actually work for a company. Maybe I can get you a job. We work for a company called Theus. They do a lot of surveys and social justice work and a lot of outreach programs, but they also act as go-betweens, you kind of say, for like various companies. And in this case, we're contractors for city planning. Of course, it's kind of weird. It's not really the city that's paying us. We're paid through a company up back in Washington, D.C. that has local offices here that work with the city planners. It's a mess.
I saw your billboard. Yeah, I thought you guys were just like some like religious kooks or something.
These? No, they're not that bad. They're not as bad as... Because they're not really a religion. Although faith has a lot to do with it, but it's whatever faith you bring with you. I looked into them before taking a job. They actually used to do a lot of public outreach and social work for betterment of communities, and then especially throughout the south suburbs. But now, to augment their money, they work as mediators and pretty much headhunters.
Headhunters?
Yeah, they hire talent for certain jobs,
like traffic studies.
Yeah, there's one because of the rampant and random fires that were taking place throughout the south suburb. They hired like 5 teams of 5 to handle surveys and to access public records and find all of the houses and local businesses that either need to be brought up to code or closed down, and tracing back deep ownership records and public eyesores, buildings that need to be boarded up or buildings that need to be torn down. I don't know if you heard or not, but there was like a huge arson incident, some nightclub.
No, I didn't hear about that. Hey, I'm not really a conspiracy person, so don't think I am. But a lot of this, I don't know, it just seems awful, like overreachy.
Yeah, a little bit. But perfectly honest, I'd rather them be overreachy with businesses and try to help the community than overreachy and doing riots and starting fights and stuff like that.
See, maybe it's my California liberal speaking, but it seems to me that when you help the community, you're hurting part of the community. Like you can't help everybody, without stepping on somebody to get there.
You know what? I don't have an answer for that. Where do you draw the line? When do you stop trying to help? When do you say that, filth and decay and despair is worth it because there's a chance that in that mud that something good is going to grow up out of it?
Yeah, but I mean, you can't bring salvation at gunpoint either.
It's worked for every other country.
Did it though?
Yeah, for quality of life for the people that live there. Think about it. Look at England. They spent years conquering the entire world. It wasn't until they literally said this is costing us too much. Let's focus and work on ourselves. That they get all the reforms that they did to help their own populace. And that came very much at the point of a gun. Look at the reforms that were taking place in China. That came literally because of the Hong Kong people who worked under the British rule, took their money back to the mainland and said, communism is nice, but it's better to have a full stomach. Look at Sweden and Norway. It's literally the government, the king, who said, no, this is what's going to happen for it to take place. Change always comes through somebody's force of will. Usually that force of will is backed by military might.
You seem extremely well educated for someone who's hired to punch people who touch the van.
It didn't come easy. I was actually part of the armed forces. And to keep from going absolutely stir fucking crazy, I read and read and read and read. The waiting list was too long for most of the special operations groups. So I read and read and read and read. And you know what I did when I got bored of reading?
Was it reading?
That, and I boxed. I placed third on, well, I rated pretty high. I got pretty good. And speaking of getting pretty good, it is 23 after the hour. We have little less than a half an hour left, so we're going to get through a couple of more scenes. But for right now, we're going to take a quick 10 minutes. And for everyone who lived in Ohio, that was a joke and a barb against a friend of mine who actually lives there as well. So see you guys back here at 34 after the hour, and we're going to wrap up our first episode and see where we leave our coterie.
No, I mean, no offense taken. You're right. Like,
Yeah, absolutely right. It's stuck here.
nobody loves the shit out of Ohio more than Ohioans, so you're not gonna get any complaints.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, guys. See you guys in a few minutes.
All right, see.
Greetings and salutations.
Hello.
All right, so a little bit less than 60 seconds to actual start, but with all of the revelations of the evening as Lucio and Alexander in their conversation or progress through their conversation, are there any points that you all would have raised that you want to reiterate?
I wish I'd have heard some of that information.
Yeah, kind of skipped me because I was walking in on it.
I guess anyone who hasn't heard it yet, if they come by, I'll fill them in.
Okay. All right. So when we last left, Vivi and Dizzy were continuing their conversation, predominantly unbeknownst to Vivi, centering and dancing around her life experiences, and with Dizzy taking careful, considerate notes as to what could be useful, what could not. So far, what has been made clearly apparent is that Vivi is far more skilled than the menial task to which she has been assigned. Also, she and her partner don't necessarily get on the best of sorts, and she's not uber well traveled, but she has been a myriad of less than favorable places throughout the continental U.S., as well as clearly other places outside of it. So with that being as it is, and Dizzy growing into being considered an actual friend and associate for Vivi, partially because of supernatural nudging, and partial because of sheer abject, absolute loneliness. While in the Haven, as Hestia gets back and Lucio is relating that his family may have other genetic material floating around, specifically him has other genetic material besides what his mother and father had potentially wished for him, and using those ties to further his continued unliving and near-death state as a kindred. Hestia's there in the door, entering. It's clear that she's a little rosy, a little flush, as it were. Hestia.
Well, that didn't go as well as I'd like, and I had to make a choice between continuing to look for Damien and coming back to make my meeting with Sylvia, who will be here shortly. As for your plans on speaking to your father, which I do agree with, by the way, I was told by somebody that we should speak to Martin as a go-betweener to contact us with the Dawn so that we do not go meet them ourselves. Obviously, that would be dangerous. But yes, the plan is to potentially make friends, quote unquote, while using our enemies against each other and gain friendships. While we discuss that, though, hold on one second, and I text Dizzy. Hold on. There. That's what I text her. And once I'm done texting, then I look at the other two. So yeah, I agree with your plan, and we might want to also tell the others any information that we've come up with tonight. The news states that there were 6 bodies found in the fire. They are not releasing names, and I very pointedly look at Lucio. It's being covered up. I don't know by who. I'm guessing it's our side, but it's being covered up.
Could be our side, but could also be the government themselves. They probably don't want to cause a panic.
Either way, it's being covered up, and it's not great that we don't know the descriptions of the bodies found. Though, by the way, I sent one of the other younger hounds that is also in the band with Damien to look for him at the address. I told her to keep me informed because she was really panicking looking for him. And I was going to meet her there, but then I realized I didn't have enough time after feeding. That's getting really hard in this neighborhood, especially remembering all the cameras.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we should probably get someone on that right away with the trying to trace those cameras if we can. But and Lucio at this point kind of just puts his face in his hands. Dear God, it feels like the whole world's crumbling all around us.
That's 2020. This has got to be one of the worst years I have ever had as a kindred or a human. And I lived through a couple wars.
Yeah, that's really saying something. God, I can't believe it. We're gonna actually have to work with the organized crime of the city. The thought makes me sick.
Not necessarily with. We're just going to prove ourselves too big of a fish to keep trying to catch.
But I do have to stress, if we do want their help, you know what they're gonna ask for.
The Haven?
Access to it at the very least. Knowing what I know about the Haven, what about the Hecata, I should say, it's probably the safer option of letting them have some control compared to the Sabbat. But they're definitely not going to have our best interests at heart.
Oh, obviously.
And, with a certain entity lurking around here, the danger that could pose if the Hekata were to somehow either summon one for themselves or turn him against us. That would be... I don't even want to imagine that.
I thought she kind of smiles. Well, I do have a guest coming tonight, and they are a higher ranking member of the Chantry House. Quite powerful mage in their own right. The only reason they do not run the Chantry instead of Crucible is because they don't wish to run the Chantry, as far as I know. But she has decided that she likes me enough to help me. I don't know what that exactly means. I don't trust her as far as I can throw her, but it's an ally, a powerful one at that. So she's coming here tonight to teach, I do the quotation marks, teach me how to better my wards.
Well, that's some good news.
Yeah, so I should probably change and wear something more esoteric when we get here.
And I suppose I should probably make myself scarce.
Potentially, yeah. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you might be a little more help to the person looking for Damien than I would be. Seems how you were the last one to see him. There's also the fact that the breach. But didn't we have somebody looking into that? Working on that?
I think we asked for Whispers and Clyde to help with that, but I haven't heard from them.
Speaking of not heard from, that's another text I have to send. And I hate to be pushy, but I really need to know what the answer is.
Speaking of thinking of texting, your phone is vibrating.
I sigh and look at it.
So you read the message there?
Yeah, is it a text message or is it ringing?
No, it's a message. It's a text message.
Is it from G?
Mm-hmm. Take a look at your channel really quickly. As you walk in, as Hester's staring at her phone, Lucio's looking pensive, mainly because of the idea of being in a room with two Tremere, people who deal with spirit that's behind part of his recent explosive growth and ability. And Alexander is there as well.
There is suddenly a very much oh shit look on Hethia's face.
Hey, what's up, guys?
The text message that she got. Dizzy,
Hey, do we still have that bitch in the trunk?
She's at... Well, she's no longer in the trunk. She's at Damien's office in the basement, I believe.
I want to ask her some shit.
As do I. Hestia, I think I can help with the morgue. Storyteller, would I be able to take Dizzy to the office on the way to the morgue?
Yes.
Then I think that'll be a plan. Dizzy, want me to drop you off at the morgue or at the office while I go to the morgue?
Why are you going to the morgue?
Apparently Damien's there.
Damien was the guy, the sheriff guy.
Yeah. He's in the morgue.
He's in the morgue.
Yep.
Okay, and that preposition makes all the difference. So, do you need help at the morgue getting him out of the morgue, or you got that covered?
I think I can manage. I'm assuming he's just playing dead, basically.
If you're playing dead, you'd be able to sneak out when no one's paying attention.
I'm sorry, what was that?
If you were playing dead and cognizant of what's going on around you, you'd be able to sneak out if no one was paying attention. Or force someone to not pay attention to sneak out.
Yeah, I think I can manage. But I can drop you off at the office on the way there. And as I say that, I'm going to send a message to Arsenio to come get us. Because I don't have a car for myself.
I mean, she was staked, right? Or did we beat her into torpor? What happened?
Yeah, she's, as far as I know, she's still staked, and I believe one of the hounds is there watching over her.
I mean, it can wait. It'd be kind of rude for me to just go unstake her and ask her some shit and then restake her for later.
Well, there's the fact that if she is as powerful as everyone believes she is, unstaking her may not wake her up. It may require a little blood, vitae, and if it requires a little vitae, you all know how difficult it is if your beast gets that close to the surface to break the connection, as it were.
So with that in mind, Dizzy, how about you actually help me with the morgue thing, and we can get Damien out, and I'm almost positive that he would be able to, if she needs some blood to rouse her, he might be able to provide. I'm fairly certain he's quite strong enough to do that and to handle her if she happens to try and escape.
I like this plan better. I can be quite distracting in several different ways.
Excellent.
All right. And while this planning portion is happening and Arsenio's on the way to pick up everyone, Alexander, are you adding anything to the planning stage or merely taking everything in?
Mostly just taking everything in. I mean, if anyone has any ideas of where I'd be useful, then I'd love to hear them. Alright, I'll just help in any way I can.
No, I'm thinking. I'm sorry.
I mean, no, last time I kind of just improvised. I just followed whispers and beat up a bunch of people, and everything worked out great, so... Where has planning gotten me lately? fighting actual shadows. That's where. So, yeah, I'm just gonna come along for the ride and hope I can help somehow.
Coming with us, you mean?
Yeah,
And speaking of coming
if that's all right.
and tagging along and being present and available, Hestia, your headache goes from its normal slight throb to full bore explosive pressures. It's like being hit with 10 weeks of migraines all at once. Because as it does, you realize several things. Two very important. You did not add the other coterie members to your wards, which means every time they're home, that dull, throbbing headache is present. And two, with your warwards turned inward as they are, as notated by Sylvia when you guys spoke briefly at the bar, while it doesn't cause pain to anyone else who's not part of the ward, it does cause pain to you. And your phone begins to vibrate. It's the front desk upstairs. You recognize the number without even having to think on it.
She's temporarily stumbled and stands against the wall, trying to get herself together, kind of rubbing at her forehead, and just blindly answers the phone. Yeah.
Miss Green, you have a Sylvia Christelle here for you. Are you actually in the shelter today? I didn't think you were. You're not here on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm out and about working the grounds because I needed to check on that camera that we have down. I could have sworn I sent somebody to fix it. I'll be there in a minute.
And with Sylvia having arrived and Arsenio arriving very shortly thereon, we will leave our coterie with plans laid in place and the actions of rescuing the city sheriff from the morgue and dealing with inviting a Tremere into your household as the most prescient of things. We'll follow up with a few actions by post over the next week, and then next week we will pick up with our episode 2. Thank you all for a lovely kickoff to season 5 and outlining the problems and plans ahead for the coterie. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you for the session. I'm looking forward to the greatest heist of all time.
These balls to steal the sheriff.
Steal the sheriff, unstake the one of the big bads, and not get conned or suckered by a master Tremere in a place of power. Mm-hmm. Sounds like fun. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Thanks all. Good night.